Good Tuesday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing this Tuesday, May 24th. This is Basil Numerzitsky. Looking at our significant fire weather impact map, no significant impacts. We've been cool and moist, and those conditions are expected to continue through this week into the weekend, even into next week. And our grasses have been quite moist in most areas, maybe a little curing across far southern areas and southern aspects, but by and large, most conditions remain fairly moist. We look at precipitation over the past 24 hours. Only light amounts across parts of central Nevada and northern Utah. This first shade of blue is basically just a few hundredths of an inch to less than a quarter inch, a little bit heavier in some spots where you see that second shade of blue. On the right-hand side, you see that lightning, very sparse, a little bit across far western Nevada and far southern central Idaho, but by and large not too much in the way of lightning. Now looking at the past 7 days of precipitation on the left, you can see that we've had roughly about, in this first shade of green, a ½ inch to as much as over an inch. As we go to the darker shades of green and yellows, maybe over an inch and a half. That's across the northern half of our area, so quite moist across western Wyoming into Idaho, far northern Utah and Nevada. If we look on the right-hand side, we can see that overall, precipitation amounts were quite significant in just about all areas. You can see that the heavier amounts of over 2-3 inches of rain occurred up in parts of Idaho into western Wyoming through the Wasatch, so it was even moist down here in far southern areas as well. So areas were either very moist in the past 7 days or definitely in the past month or so, and that's causing very moist conditions, but also a good grass crop, especially in some of the lower elevations. Looking at our ERC conditions, of course, with that kind of a weather pattern, we have all moist conditions. Our ERCs, these greens that you see here, is where the ERC percentile is below, and in some cases well below the 50th percentile, so no significant concerns at the moment. Looking at the infrared satellite imagery, along with upper-level maps superimposed, we can see a deep trough of low pressure given by these L's here with counterclockwise circulation, moisture around California starting to rotate back into Nevada, another low further upstream actually moving out into southern Canada, another low starting to drop down out of the Gulf of Alaska. What we do not see, which is unusual, is any large ridge of high pressure across our region. So we'll keep that satellite image in mind and look at the computer models now that shows that trough of low pressure. You can see the higher atmospheric moisture in those greenish to dark greenish shades. And as we go through today and into tomorrow, you can see that low pressure area really doesn't do too much. It's still broad. Any areas under this green will probably see scattered showers, maybe a brief wet afternoon thunderstorm. Areas to the south over southern Nevada and southern Utah, even if you don't see the precipitation, you'll see temperatures significantly cooler than normal. Also, you'll be seeing humidity levels much higher than they normally would be for this time of year. And here's our 3-day precipitation accumulation during that time period. You can see significant amounts of wetting rains in the dark greens, which is a quarter to a ½ inch. These shades of blue are anywhere from a ½ inch to as much as an inch of rainfall across parts of western central Nevada, also affecting parts of eastern Idaho into western Wyoming into the Tetons and also into far northern Utah. This second shade of green, which is a 1/10 of an inch or so, wetting rain affects a good portion of central Utah and central Nevada. It's only far southern areas that stay rain-free, but again, they'll be cooler and more moist than normal. So as we continue with our computer models from Thursday on through Friday, we see that, again, we're in that broad trough of low pressure. We put the maps into motion during the day on late Thursday into Friday. We're missing a little data, but by Friday, the moisture part moves away, but we're still in an area of weak low pressure, so it means temperatures will be still cooler than normal, humidity higher than normal, but will start drying out a little bit in terms of less precipitation. At the same time, we're watching another low pressure system starting to drop on down as we go into the early part of the weekend. Saturday, maybe some showers popping up over parts of northern Utah and starting to move into parts of Idaho. And so if we look at precipitation during that time period as we go through from Friday through Saturday, you can see that maybe a quarter inch or so to a little bit more across most of Utah except far southern areas, and also into some of the mountains of Idaho and getting into the Grand Tetons and lingering into Nevada as well. This is an overall wet pattern, especially for the western part of the Great Basin. So as we go further down in time, as we go through Saturday, you see that trough of low pressure into the Pacific Northwest starting to carve out across the Great Basin. As we go in time, as we go into Sunday, we see that most of the energy and moisture of this low does stay to our north. We do get some drier air intrusion over far southern areas, but still some showers from about central Nevada and Utah, and especially up into Idaho and moving into parts of Wyoming as we go into Monday. And they'll be watching this low dropping down to Oregon during the day on Monday, according to this latest computer model run, and it drops down into Nevada by Tuesday, bringing more widespread showers and wet thunderstorms across Nevada. And we'll be watching that as we go back, that this could probably move into Utah and Wyoming and Idaho as we go into the middle of next week, so no real respite there. So if you look at our precipitation from Sunday into early Tuesday, you can see across parts of Nevada, into the mountains of Idaho, and parts of northern Utah into Wyoming, some light to moderate amounts, a tenth to maybe a quarter inch of rain, locally higher amounts. And snow levels, though, in some of the higher terrain up north should still remain fairly high. So let's total up all the precipitation expected over the next 7 days. And you can see again significant amounts across most of Nevada into Utah, except for far southern areas. Noticeably dry across the Arizona Strip, far southern Nevada. Also looking at the Snake River Valley, also being kind of in a dry shadow. So we'll have to watch grasses and lighter fuels in those areas. We could start to see them turn over a little bit. But any of our middle to higher elevations across Idaho and into western Wyoming and the Wasatch, it's going to remain quite moist. So with all of that, we look at our 7-day significant fire potential, and you can see that with our cool moist pattern, nothing expected. We're staying moist with low fire potential in all zones throughout all 7 days. If we go from today to Wednesday, Thursday, really nothing changes. Our neighbors maybe start drying out or changing colors, but we stay dry for the next 7 days, so no major concerns. Looking at our 8 to 14 day outlook for up to 2 weeks out, you can see that later on we do start seeing a warming trend starting to edge into the western portion of the Great Basin. More normal across eastern areas. Still some lingering moisture across far northern areas of probably the northern half of the Great Basin from central Idaho and Nevada on northwards. But we should see significant drying, or at least normal, which should be fairly dry across our southern areas. So we'll have to watch for the possibility of our southern areas starting to cure out a little bit, possibly as we go into early June, which is fairly normal for this time of year. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day. Our next briefing will be coming up tomorrow. We're doing them 5 times a week right now, but we start 7-day operations with this product issued 7 days a week, starting this coming Monday, May 30th.